What's going on, guys? The 2024 NFL season is officially over. Not just the Texans season, but all of them. The Philadelphia Eagles are the Super Bowl champions. Now everyone is back to 0-0. So that means it's free agency time, it's draft season, and I cannot wait to see what the Texans do this offseason. Now, just a few days after the Super Bowl, Joe Mixon is already back on Twitter with the eye emojis. Last offseason, Joe Mixon did the same thing before free agency, tweeting those eye emojis. Something's going on. He knows something we don't. And what ended up happening after he tweeted that? The Houston Texans traded for Stefon Diggs, making one of the biggest moves of last offseason. Obviously, this last season, Stefon Diggs goes down with an ACL. That didn't work out the way we quite thought it would. The wide receiver core was not what we were hoping for going into the season. Nico Collins, Stefon Diggs, Tank Dell was going to set the league on fire. That obviously wasn't the case. And the offense itself had a lot more struggles than we all expected. So going into the 2025 season, there's got to be a lot of moves that Caserio and D'Amico and the entire organization make to make sure that doesn't happen again. So in this video, I'm going to break down 4 moves that I think Joe Mixon might be eyeing up over there on Twitter or X or what have you. 4 moves that I think Caserio might have in the docket ready to go that would absolutely change the offense and change the team and get us hoisting a Lombardi in 2025. Okay, like I said, I have 4 different names here. All of them are wide receivers because going into the season, we only have Nico Collins. Tank Dell's not going to play. Stefon Diggs is a free agent who I really don't think is going to be coming back. I think he's going to want more money than I think Caserio is going to want to give him after an ACL for a guy who's 31 years old. So I'm going to go from most likely to least likely. The most likely is the guys that you think, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of reasons why that Caserio would want this guy. There might be connections between teams, blah, blah, blah. And then as I go down the list, there's going to be more names that might be more of long shots, but things that I would love to see happen. So the first name I'm going to talk about is Cooper Kupp. Wide receiver for the Los Angeles Rams, has been a huge part of their offense for many years, was a big part of them winning the Super Bowl, won Super Bowl MVP just a few years ago. And he's a guy who is on the trade block. The Rams have said, hey, we're going to trade him. They're working with Cooper to find him a new team. So obviously, a lot of teams are going to be interested in a guy like Cooper. He's 31 years old, coming off somewhat of a down year for his standards, but he's been injured, and that's not new for him. He's somewhat of an injury-prone player, but when he's on the field, he really produces. In 12 games in 2024, he put up 710 yards and 6 touchdowns. 12 games. Imagine if he was able to be out there for even 15. So this name makes a lot of sense for the Texans. Obviously, they need a veteran wide receiver, a lot of young guys, and even Nico Collins is somewhat of a young guy, a lot younger than Cooper. So a veteran guy, someone who's been around, someone who's won a ring, had success in the league. Also, the connection to Nick Haley, the new offensive coordinator for the Texans, came over from the Rams. There's a relationship there. It makes a lot of sense. The only thing is Cooper Kupp is just a little bit expensive, and the Rams know that. It's been kind of reported that they will eat some of his contract just to get rid of him, just because they know they need to get Cooper to a different, team, new scenery, and it's going to take them probably taking some of that contract. So that if Caserio and the Rams can work together on that, get the number right money-wise, then absolutely Cooper Kupp makes all the sense in the world. He's just, him and CJ, I just think would have an amazing connection. CJ's talked a lot about how much he looks up to Matt Stafford, tries to emulate his game. Obviously, Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford have done some special things together. I just think it makes a lot of sense, and I would love to see this trade happen. The second player is someone that also kind of makes sense, something recently that has come to light. Deebo Samuel and the 49ers. Deebo Samuel is a do-it-all. He comes out of the backfield. He plays anywhere on the field and has had a lot of success doing it. He's been incredible at times, but he just had somewhat of a down year for him. 15 games played, 670 yards, 3 touchdowns. Also some, off-the-field drama, complaining about targets and his catches and whatnot, fighting with teammates on the sidelines, like not stuff you love to see from a guy who you want to come in. The Texans would want to come into a good culture that they have built and really just kind of blend in and be a team player. Those aren't great signs for that. That's why Debo is a guy that I don't know if I really want on the Texans, but coming from the 49ers, definitely knows D'Amico. Who knows what that relationship is like? It doesn't seem like they've ever talked about knowing each other super well or enjoying each other or being friends. They obviously know each other, being in the same building. But I don't know if that friendship is there. But if that trade does go down, and with all the talk of him being a diva, all the talk of him complaining about targets, and just maybe not being the most team player, if that trade happens, that means D'Amico is open to bringing him in, knows the kind of guy that he is, and so I will fully trust the move if they make this happen. But at the moment, it's not the top of my list. But it is something that is extremely, I wouldn't say extremely likely, but it's definitely something I could see happening. It makes sense for what maybe the offense we're going to try to run. Nick Caley's offense coming in, who knows? He's going to have to switch a lot of things up, and Debo's a guy who can do anything. So the trade does make sense, and if they make this trade happen, I'll be happy about it. All right, guys, now we're going to get into some names that might sound like long shots, might sound like, oh my God, it would be insane if it happened. But they're both, the last two guys on this list are two guys that have had trade talks around them for multiple different reasons. So my next guy is DK Metcalf, Seattle Seahawks wide receiver. Man, a beast of a human being. Everyone knows what DK can do. Everyone knows the type of player he is, the athleticism, just the most insane build for a wide receiver that we've seen in a while. And look, the Seahawks are in a position, right? They got a lot of good young players, and Geno Smith and DK never really seem to have that connection that they kind of hope for. DK had a very solid year, but more of a down year for his standards. 15 games, 992 yards, 5 touchdowns. A very solid year. Would blow Diggs' year, Tank's year, any of our other receivers out of the water other than Nico Collins. Pairing him with Nico Collins is something that when I think about it, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it's almost like that shouldn't be allowed. Two of these big body receivers, DK is a lot bigger than Nico when it comes to his stature and his build, but they're both tall guys, really can get those contested catches. DK, this year, his contested catch was a little low for his standards, but he's still an incredible, incredible receiver. And having those two guys lined up on your offense, I mean, it would put fear in every single defense in the NFL. And with CJ Stroud throwing the rock, I mean, it would be deadly as long as they both stayed healthy. So DK Metcalf, Seahawks probably don't want to pay him. They need to pay Kenneth Walker. They got a lot of young guys they need to pay, and they're kind of maybe just moving on to a different era, especially in that wide receiver room with Jackson Smith and Jigba having a breakout year. He was incredible. They have DK, they have Tyler Lockett, a couple of these guys who have been there for a while. I wouldn't be shocked to see them get rid of DK, get some trade capital, maybe get some more picks, and start building around JSN and even Geno or whoever they're going to be having a quarterback. It's a long shot, but it does make sense to me, and it's something that it'd be one of those notifications you get and you throw your phone across the room. It's like the Texans are trading for DK Metcalf. Like, it changes everything we know about the Texans, the offense, and just what they're trying to be in 2025. It would be beautiful. It would be absolutely beautiful. All right, guys, I got one more guy on the list, and this one is something that I've had dreams of this happening. I've quite literally had dreams where this trade goes down. It would blow my absolute mind. It is going to be something that it's going to shake the league if this happens. Garrett Wilson, New York Jets wide receiver, young guy. I think he has 3 years under his belt now, has been one of the most consistent and I'd say underrated receivers in the league since he's been here. He won Offensive Rookie of the Year with the Jets. He's ever since then has not missed a step. He's been incredible with not much to work with. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has been his quarterback for the last year. I mean, obviously, it should have been 2 years, but Aaron goes down week one. He's been dealing with Zach Wilson. He's never had his quarterback. And the thing is his quarterback from college, at least part of it, plays in the NFL right now for the Houston Texans, CJ Stroud. Ohio State brothers, they are very bonded. They're close. They have a good relationship. They already have that built-in chemistry from college. And we've seen how that can work. We've seen how when the college quarterback and the college receiver get together in the league, it can work very well. Obviously, you look at Joe Burrow, you look at Jamar Chase, and what they're able to do in Cincinnati. That offense is electric, and they're two of the best young players in the league, and that chemistry has been built since college. So if we're able to get Garrett Wilson to Houston to play with CJ Stroud again, there would be immediate fireworks. It would be immediate. And he's got 1 year left on his rookie deal, so you don't have to pay him immediately. And he's going to want to get paid after the 2025 season, though, obviously, and he's going to get big money. So that's something you want to keep an eye on, right? That, we have a lot of young guys to play. The Texans have to pay Derek Stingley this coming season. Obviously, we're waiting on the CJ Stroud deal. Will Anderson's going to want some money. So there's just a lot of guys that are going to want to get paid on the Texans pretty soon. So you have to keep that in mind. But Garrett Wilson to the Texans would be huge. It's going to be an expensive trade. That's another thing. He's a damn good player, one of the best young receivers in the league. Maybe the Jets are just kind of ready for a clean slate. Maybe get some, maybe they'll do a first and a third or something along those lines. But he is going to be a really expensive player. And the Jets would be really stupid for trading him. But like I said, they're going into a new era of the Jets. They have the new head coach. They got a lot of new stuff in the building. They're moving on from Aaron Rodgers. I think there's a good chance that he just stays put. The Jets know what they have in him. But if the Texans traded for Garrett Wilson, that would be, like I said, I've dreamt about it. It would be fireworks. It would be, if the second I got that notification on my phone, I see CJ lifting the Lombardi trophy, like immediately. So obviously it would be something that I would adore. I just don't know if it'll happen. But guys, those are my 4 moves that I believe Joe Mixon might be eyeing up on Twitter, kind of teasing a little bit. He, right after the season ended, he said Caserio has some things planned, has a lot of exciting stuff in the works for us. So that makes a lot of sense. Any of these guys would line up with that. Guys, what do you think? Which of these players would you like to see the most on the Texans next season? Or maybe a guy I didn't mention. Maybe a Chris Godwin. Maybe you want to trade for Tyler Lockett instead of DK Metcalf, a very consistent receiver. Who do you guys want to see on the Texans next year to bolster this offense? Let me know down in the comments below. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later.